It's hard to believe, and I cannot even believe that I'm about to say this, but The Rise of Skywalker is almost 7 years old. But what's even harder to believe is that it's almost been 7 years since we've really gotten any new content related to the sequel trilogy and its characters. However, it looks like Disney and Lucasfilm are finally wanting to further explore this era, not just in film and television, but also through publishing. At the time of me making this video right now, this is the newest Star Wars book that actually just came out, The Last Order by Kwame Mbalia. I just finished this book earlier today, have a lot of thoughts on it, and figured, why not talk about it? However, before I say anything about this book, I do want to start this video with a bit of a disclaimer. One of the biggest reasons as to why I was excited to pick up this book was because of the official synopsis released a few months ago. With the synopsis reading, following the end of The Rise of Skywalker, the Resistance rescues a ship full of young passengers who had been kidnapped by the First Order. As Finn and Jannah set out to find the First Order officer responsible before he can endanger any more children, the two former stormtroopers must wrestle with their own complicated past as soldiers of an oppressive regime. And after hearing and or reading that official synopsis, you probably think that the majority of the story takes place after the events of Episode 9. I know that I did. However, after reading the book, the story is really 95% flashbacks with Finn and Jannah as stormtroopers, and only 5%, and I may be being generous there, of the book is really after the events of Episode 9. I feel like a post Episode 9 galaxy provides future stories with a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see how it's explored in future projects. But I can't help but be a little bit disappointed after the story claimed to be doing exactly that, yet didn't actually really end up exploring much from that point in the timeline. The synopsis is just incredibly misleading, and I honestly feel really bad for the author because of it. Because the story that he did write is actually pretty interesting. Whereas the book doesn't really explore a post-Episode 9 galaxy, it certainly provides a lot more insight into the First Order and how they operated prior to what we see in The Force Awakens. It's the kind of development that I've really wanted for this specific era of Star Wars, and I feel like a lot of other people might appreciate it too, and it's just always great to have more context. I also think that having the story be a split perspective one between Finn and Jannah, two characters that both ultimately leave the First Order, was a really strong choice. Now, I will say that narratively speaking, it's not balanced perfectly in my opinion, but both characters' stories I was never once bored by. Especially Jannah's chapters, which add a lot more to her character and the brief backstory that she's given in Episode 9. There's a small line that she says in The Rise of Skywalker when she's talking to Finn on Kef Bir that plays a larger role in this specific story, and I thought that it was handled extremely well. Personally, I love whenever a small throwaway line in one Star Wars movie or show comes back in a major way, and that's certainly the case here. So that begs the question, should you read this book? And ultimately, I really think that it's up to you. If you go in with the mindset that this is a post-Episode 9 story, you're already setting yourself up for disappointment. So I'm begging you, please don't do that if you do choose to read this book. It's a massive disservice to the story that you do end up getting, as well as the author themselves, in my personal opinion. However, if you go in with the mindset that this is a story that further explores the First Order, the everyday life of a stormtrooper, and Finn and Jannah themselves, I think that you'll walk away really enjoying this one. Also, I do want to say that this book pairs really well, in my opinion, with Phasma, Before the Awakening, and Bloodline. So if you've read those books, you'll probably appreciate this one a little bit more too. Ultimately, I want to end the video by saying that it really sucks that the synopsis for this book led so many people to believe that it was about something else and is just so misleading, because I feel like the story that you do get, it's a very character-driven story. You get a lot of development for Finn and Jannah, and I think that you also just get a lot of cool stuff for the sequel era as well. So I would recommend that you check this one out if you definitely can. But if you read The Last Order, if so, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I feel like this is going to be a pretty divisive book if we're being completely honest, so whether you loved it, whether you hated it, if you're kind of split on whether you should check this book out or not, please let me know down in the comments below. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you again whenever we lightspeed skip to the next video.